Hello everybody and welcome to today's Komeer GDPR webinar. My name is Pat Walsh from Komeer.com and delighted to be here with you today to spend a little bit of time on the specifics of Komeer and the General Data Protection Regulation. It's a very short webinar, it's 30 minutes, so we'll be breezing along at quite a fast pace. I need to point out at the outset that while I certainly will cover as much salient points as possible, and you should go away after this 30 minutes well informed about what Komeer can do to help on your GDPR journey and a checklist for action. However, this 30 minutes is no substitute for one-to-one training or indeed group GDPR training, which you, if you haven't already availed of, you really should avail of as soon as you can. That being said, we'll push on, and I see we have a lot of schools and creches with us online, so you're all very welcome. Feel free to ask any questions using the online chat service that's with you now on GoToWebinar. Now, because it's a tight 30 minutes, we may not get time to cover them during this webinar, but as always, I promise we will contact you afterwards promptly with answers to any questions that you have. Okay, so I'll firstly just move on with I suppose, small introduction to Komeer, which won't take long, and then we'll have a look at the agenda for the next 30 minutes. So for those of you who are new to Komeer, Komeer, the communication service, is free for schools, creches and clubs, and we launched our freemium version back in January and February this year to much acclaim, as a lot of you probably know already. If you're using SMS, there are obviously significant costs in using Komeer. So not only is it a very effective communication system, there are no SMS costs unless you want to use SMS costs. So with Komeer, you should have huge savings on your SMS, also on printing and on time. Komeer is a full communication service with app, email, and web-based communications and SMS as a failover that engages with parents and students. So again, I think you'll see how useful Komeer is and the benefits that are available. We make group management really easy. You can set up groups for year groups, class groups, for staff groups, sports groups. It's unlimited, and you've great flexibility on how you set up and communicate with the groups that you need to communicate with. Komeer not only is used for everyday messaging, it's also used to organize activities. So for example, it might be a parents' evening, it might be a sports training, maybe football training after school. Komeer will do all of that extremely well. Also, we've demonstrated that by using Komeer, you can increase participation and no-shows at your activities. And you'll also see that you can plan ahead because you know how many people will be attending your activities in advance using Komeer dashboard. So GDPR help and compliance for us and the Komeer team here in Dublin has been a very, very big issue over the last 2 years. And our current offering from day one in the development, the design over the 18 months, one of the cornerstone activities and from our software design architects was to be GDPR compliant and to make the service as friendly and as beneficial as possible for you, our customer. And I think you'll see that quite fluid in the application today, and you'll see the clear benefits of what we've done. And we hope you like it. Of course, feedback is welcome, and we'll act upon it. But hopefully you'll like what we've done, and we firmly believe that we've a lot to offer. The collection and recording of payments, which we're launching shortly. Again, you'll see there I suppose our vision for GDPR compliance and what we've done. So I'll be sharing that with you. Child safety alerts, really important for Komeer. So Komeer features a 24/7 alert service. If there's an emergency or serious incident, there's no better way for communicating your message rapidly out to parents and students. And again, the principle of everything we do is that Komeer is really easy to use and fast to use. So once you're set up and running, you will find that Komeer is a pleasure to use. We have lots of case studies for you, but it really is child's play to prepare a message, choose what groups you want to send the message to, and send it. It really is a very simple and fast to use. So specifically for today, for this short webinar, what we'll be covering is Komeer GDPR policies and controls. So that'll be just for the first 5 minutes to give you some reassurance of our approach to GDPR, the security and privacy measures that we have in place. And feel free to ask any questions. We will get answers to you. And I will explain in more detail as we move on. The second and main section of this webinar will be a step-to-step guide how Komeer can help you with your compliance workload, and that includes the 8 privacy principles, individual privacy principles, including retention and consent. So directly and practically how we can help you by you using Komeer, save time, help with compliance, and reduce your workload. Okay, and then I'll finish with some tips on GDPR, general guidelines, and some general advice. Again, to repeat, this short webinar is no substitute for actual training, and we'll come on to that. So to start off with, just as an overview of the Komeer architecture, firstly, we use Amazon Web Services. You may have heard this week they have announced 1,000 jobs in Dublin, which is great news. But we've chosen Amazon Web Services simply because they're the best. They're the #1, most secure, most scalable web service provider. So you can rest assured that when your data on Komeer is safe and is in the best possible hands with the latest security protocols. And that's why we've gone with Amazon. We've gone for the best. Obviously, all data is encrypted during transport. Its data is backed up. It's upgraded for you, so you don't have to worry about that. The data is kept safe and backed up. All the logins are encrypted. You may have heard of these technical terms called salting and hashing. What they mean is they're mumbled and jumbled up so much that they're almost unintelligible unless to the systems that understand them. So it obviously is a great help for security, and that's what those login checks are for, and Komeer use them throughout our applications. From day one, we have engaged with the Data Protection Commissioner, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, and who've been extremely helpful to us on our Komeer journey. So from the earliest version we have had with Komeer, which was 3.5 years ago, our beta versions, right up to our current versions, which are now in use in the UK, the US, and in Ireland. We have run them by the Data Protection Commissioner and got direct advice and guidance, particularly on the children's issues, to be fair to us, which obviously was a major concern as we developed the product. And we have to say thank you to the Data Protection Commissioner. They provide us with a lot of really good help and advice to make sure we're fully compliant with GDPR and children's protection policies. So the Komeer team itself here in Dublin, we're all in-house, and we have all expertise and received training on GDPR. And both our developers and our customer support have received training on GDPR principles and data privacy, respect, and policies. We obviously we're compliant. We operate a 4 eyes principle, and what that means is if there's any serious decisions to be made on data, we always have 2 people involved. No one person can make a decision here on Komeer on data. So hopefully that reassures you that that's how we operate. I will also show you now our privacy policy and cookie policy. I hope this isn't too boring. We will be running on to some really practical stuff on the dashboard in a minute, so please bear with me to get this stuff through. But on Komeer.com, you will see our privacy policy. It's accessible at the bottom. We have it at the bottom of the our website. You'll see there's a menu where you can choose any of the pages on the website, one of which is privacy policy and cookie policy. So the privacy policy itself We've written it for you. We hope it is understandable in as much as possible. We've written it in plain English with a minimum of technical terms. For example, data management, we have an overview. If you click on the plus, you'll see some more detail. Information you share, personal information collection, so on, children's data, we have a special section on telling exactly what we do and what we store. In this case, you'll see it as just first name, middle name, and last name. So we go through each of the privacy principles one by one and provide an answer of how we in Komeer deal with that, and our retention policy is here as well. If you have not updated your privacy policy yet for your school, Gale School Creche or university, you need to, and you need to do it fast. Please feel free to take a good look at ours. We think we've done a good job. Of course, we're open to feedback, but please look at the structure of ours, and if you can learn from ours, we're delighted for you to do that, and feel free to drop us a mail if you need any help or guidance. Okay, so that's our privacy policy, and you see we have a date stamp when it was last updated. We also have a cookie policy, which explains what our cookies collect, the data we collect, and the browsers that it works with, and what the individual policies are. So that's there for you as well to check out. Moving back to our presentation here. So let's present that on the screen. Okay, so I suppose moving on to Komeer and the GDPR 8 privacy rights principles. I'm sure most of you have read about these or may have attended training so far, and I'll go through them quickly now, and then I'll be going through practically on the dashboard how Komeer deals with each of these. Some of these require human intervention, so Komeer cannot automate or assist with, but the majority of them, particularly 1 to 5, we believe we have provided a really good solution to you for. So obviously the right to be informed is extremely important. So your parents in the school have a right to be informed of what data you hold for them. The right of access, they have a right to access the information. Number 3, really important, the right of rectification. As we know, many schools struggle to keep the data of parents up to date, because obviously family situations change, addresses change regularly. 10% of people's mobile numbers are wrong, so it's very difficult to keep up to date. We're providing help on that. The right to erasure. So even if you are an educational institute, the GDPR makes it absolutely clear that parents still have the right to request you to remove their information. There was some challenges to that under the duty of care principles, but as far as we can see so far, they have not been upheld. So like any other public body, schools must operate to subject access data request to remove the parents' data if they are requested to do so. So that's an important one. The right to restrict processing. So obviously, I think that's self-explanatory. The parents have a right to ask you to stop using their data in a certain fashion. Portability. So for example, if the parents are moving to another school, they have the right to ask you to give them their data in an agreeable and usable format that they can use to move to another school with their child. The right to object. So they have the right to object to using their data for purposes that were not intended, or that did not give consent in the first place to do so. Typical examples would be schools may have given the parents' information to maybe a third-party marketing organization, or perhaps someone locally. And that is just not possible anymore. If it ever was possible, I'm not sure, but certainly since May 25th, the parents have a right to object and can seek recourse if that happens. The right to automatic decision-making profile. Obviously, we're in the Facebook social media presence there, where data can be profiled for particular uses, and there are now obviously much stricter controls on that. Okay, so that is the privacy rights. I'd like to move on now to show you some screens and then straight on to practical examples on the dashboard, how Komeer helps you with these privacy principles. Okay, so firstly, most of you are probably familiar with Komeer. I see we have a lot of existing Komeer customers attending this webinar. But for those of you who are new to Komeer, you'll see that our app and communication services has a standard format where the organizer, you, in other words, you as a school, can communicate clear messages up to a few paragraphs in size using the app, email, or web services to communicate with the parents. You'll see the messages are personalized with the parent's name and also the child's name. And the parents are asked to simply respond yes or no. So Komeer is a two-way communication service, but that does not mean that the parents can willy-nilly reply back with texts, with videos, with questions, and so on. The parent's response is limited to either a yes, no, or maybe if it's an activity. Now, what's really important about that is a huge help with your data privacy policies and compliance issues, because it means you're carrying a lot smaller data set and data responsibility. The only responses that come back from the parents using Komeer, as I said, are yes, no, maybe. They can't send images back. They can't send WhatsApp style comments or jokes or any other content back to you, which increases your responsibility as a data controller stroke data processor. And that's really good news. So whilst you in the school have full control of who you communicate with and what you communicate, and it can be engaging and informative, the parent, on the other hand, can be informed, kept up to date, but give a very limited way of responding. And that is absolutely 100% deliberate in what we do here at Komeer. Okay, so that's a sample message. Likewise, for an event, you'll see that we're providing the map and date and time, and the parents can add that message on that event onto a calendar if there's a school activity. But again, they can only type yes, no, or maybe. They cannot reply back, which gives you an additional data headache. On our payments, which we're about to launch, likewise, we've taken a very similar approach. We've used Stripe as our payments partner, and the reasons for that are that Stripe has the highest level of PCI compliant level 1 compliance. That is just simply the most secure payments and credit card processing security levels available out there. The payments can be accepted on the Komeer app and on our Komeer web services. It'll handle non-school payments. It means you're handling less cash. There's full data transparency with reports and audit trails. So, and again, it's the same principle where it's limited options of responding. So you have full control of the messaging. And again, we feel it's going to reduce the cash in your school. It's going to make collecting payments really easy. We've also built functionality in for you to collect payments for non-school, which we know is a big issue. So for example, if you're collecting a payment for a travel company, maybe for a school trip, and the school does not want to handle the money directly, well, using Komeer, you can request the payment from the parent, but the school does not handle the money. The payment can go direct to the travel company, JWT, or whoever is running the school tour. In addition, Komeer will not handle any money at all. It'll go through Stripe, so we'll not act as a repository. The money will go direct from the parent via Stripe to you or to whoever you nominate. So there's no issues on holding cash or delay. We do it at arm's length. Komeer will not hold any credit card details. That's all done by Stripe, who are obviously number one at this game and the most secure. So again, anything we do here at Komeer, it's simple to use, fast to use with no fuss. And if you'd like to sign up as a beta customer for our payments, feel free to do so. Contact us at help@komeer.com and we'll set you up as a beta customer so you can experiment with it. Okay, so moving on, here's just one or two payment screens, and you'll see that this is how you request money. It's very easy. You can put an amount, in this case €55, state who accepts the processing transaction charge, select what bank the money goes into, and press send now. That goes out to the parent. The parent can key in their credit card details or use details which have been stored previously using Stripe, and click on pay to pay it. Cashless, no hassle, done in seconds, fully GDPR compliant, full records, full logged. It's a no-brainer. It lets them know the payment is successful, and if by chance the parent, one other parent or guardian has already paid, it'll tell them that the bill for their child has already been paid. Again, for your data reporting purposes, there is full logs of every single important facet of the payment, including individual parent payments and when the money was transferred to a school bank account. So you have a full log and all the details there of all payment transactions. Okay, now moving on swiftly and back to our really important privacy principles. So number 3, if you recall, and I'll do these in no order, but you get the idea, was your right to rectification. Now, inbuilt in Komeer, innately in Komeer from day one, and again, this is part of the design infrastructure that our architects included from day one. We've included the ability for your parents to update their name and address and children's details using the Komeer app. So if they change their mobile number, or if they move home, or there's possibly a change in relationship, maybe because there's a new mother or father, or whatever the circumstances are, they can be added easily. So the parents can go in on the Komeer app, update their mobile number, update their address, just click submit, and that is automatically updated for you on the school dashboard. So you can keep the parents' details up to date using Komeer, and immediately that solves your right of rectification number 3, Komeer privacy policy obligation. Now, you're notified in the dashboard, and we call this GDPR self-service, and you'll see as I progress, we have a number 4 or 5 of this self-service functions inbuilt to help you, but that's the first. Okay, the right to be removed, the right to object. We have covered that with the fact that at any time the parent can unsubscribe from your total school communications, or indeed from one aspect of it. So, for example, if they do not want to receive information about maybe GEA activities from the school, they can unsubscribe. If they don't want to receive any communication at all from the school, they can unsubscribe. They do not have to phone the school secretary. They do not have to send a letter in. They can do it themselves on the Komeer app. And again, it's all about self-service and saving you time. The options to actually terminate and be removed from the service to completely remove their data. For the last 5 months, Komeer has included what I call the nuclear button on the app, and the delete account button, which is here of the app, not only removes the account of the parent, but removes all data. Okay, so for compliancy purposes, if the parent chooses to delete their account, it also nominalizes all data that we hold for that parent, including all previous responses or messages sent to that parent. They're all gone, so the parent's details are completely removed. Okay, again, they do not have to contact the school to do that. They can do it on the Komeer app. Okay, so there are some of the functions, and I'm going to move on now to the actual Komeer dashboard. So bear with me, please, to do some live examples of how we cover the other data privacy principles. So this is Komeer. For those who haven't seen it, this is the dashboard. We have other webinars available. They're available on our website, komeer.com/webinars, or just go to komeer.com and you'll see you can navigate in the menu, and you'll see there are 30-minute webinars on how to get started and how to use Komeer. So I'm not going to do that now. I'm assuming a certain amount of knowledge. But on the Komeer dashboard, you can see we have alerts. Okay. Now, in the alerts, we provide standard templates to help you communicate. You can also create your own. Okay. Now, some of the ones we've included for a start, obviously, Komeer is Gael friendly, so it's Irish language friendly. So messages can be sent in Irish, as you can see, and we provide some standard templates to give you some ideas. It's multilingual, not only Irish, Polish, Spanish. can all be done. And you can create, as I said, create your own templates. There's no limitations. It's not like text messages that are limited to 160 characters. Komeer, you can reasonably and easily include 2 to 3 paragraphs and send that. So for 99% of school bag notes, you don't have to print them anymore. You can include them in the Komeer message. Okay, so some of the templates we've included for you, for example, are consent to keep in contact. So GDPR consent to keep in contact, and this is a working example. I can send it to perhaps the whole school, St. Luke's Community School, all the parents, and in this example, their username, the child will be finishing with the school soon, but we would like your permission to keep in contact. You know, as you know, under GDPR, you probably do know, you're obliged to do that on a 2-year rolling basis. So in this case, you can do it this way using Komeer. Include your message, you can include a web link, and you just ask the parents to tap yes to consent to future communications, or no if you would like to be removed from the school contact database. I can preview that message that will go out by clicking preview, and here it is. You can see on the screen the message that will be sent. Okay, and the parents just tap yes or no when they receive it. It makes a noise on their phone, just like a text message. Up the message comes, and the parents can respond by tapping yes or no. Okay, so I just tap send now, and away that message goes, just like that. If it's being sent to 28 or it's being sent to 28,000, it makes no difference. It still goes out extremely fast. And you can see on the dashboard, we can see the responses coming in. You probably heard in the background that coming on my own phone beside me. So you can see, for example, for this case, school privacy policy, I've received 2 responses so far. This is just an example. Obviously, that will rise up. And if I want to more detail, I click here and I click on responses. I can see the parents that have responded to this message, what their names are, and I can see the parents who have not responded yet to the message. Okay. I can export that out as a list to Excel or for other uses or for other systems. And I can also change the response to children. So if I click on children, it'll show, if you like, the children that these parents are connected to. So that'll give you an actual list of children whose parents have agreed to consent to keep in contact in this case. Or it could be the children who will be going on a school tour that you could export out as a link give to a bus driver or to a teacher. Okay, so these are some of the items. We've also included, for example, a standard template to update your contact details. And we recommend you send this alert out twice a year. You can customize it, but just simply ask the parents to take a moment to update their contact details for the school on the Komeer app. And it's easy to do. There's a standard template. You can change your name at the bottom of it, put in the school website, any other details you want. Choose the group you want to send it to. Is it a whole school or is individual class groups? And again, all you have to do is click send now. That goes out, as I showed you on the previous app screens in the presentation, encourages the parents to check their mobile numbers correct and their children's details and their address is correct, and to make any changes. Any changes you are notified of. So that's consent. We also, for example, all schools should update their privacy policy. If you haven't done so yet, again, we suggest you do it fast. And in this case, we have a standard template available to you to advise your parents of your school privacy policy. Now, I suppose the policy principles that I'm alluding to there would be, number one, the right to be informed. So if you change the school's data policy, you must inform the parents. So you can update it on the website and share it out using Komeer. So that'll help with, number one, the right to be informed. Number two, the right of access. I think the fact that the parents can update their contact details, they can rectify their data, fix their data, which is number three. The right of erasure by using the app, and that notifies you that they wish to have their data removed. That helps with 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the right to restrict processing. They can remove themselves from individual groups, school communication groups using Komeer. And also we have on users, we have the an export functionality where you can export the user details, the parents' details out and give it to them, which is I suppose, a replica of the data that's held, and that helps with the compliance for number 6, data portability. So I think, as you can see, practically there's a lot of functionality there to help you on your journey and to ensure ongoing compliance. There's also, for example, photography permission. Now, we understand that a lot of schools at the start of the year include this in their application and sign-up forms. There are strong indications that that no longer will be good enough and that you will require compliance each time for each activity. I know that's adding a lot of work. And again, there are clarifications due on that. But what we provided with Komeer is a standard template that you can send to parents and look for consent. So here it is here. You can see a preview of it there. Okay, and you can customize that to suit your school and save it as a new template. And you will see on the dashboard then what the parents' responses are. So if there's any parents that said no, well, obviously you'll have to tackle and deal with that issue. Okay, so that is, we have a few minutes left, some ideas of the how Komeer can help you by using the templates. There is other functionality as well. So for example, I can, if I can select a group to send it to, say whole school, test message, I can, if I wish, select and save this as a message draft, or I can choose to schedule it at a specific date and time to send the message in the future, which could be very, very useful, maybe to schedule for the next 12 months to send out twice an update requesting the parents to update your contact details. You could set that up at the start of the year, and then that means the job is done. It'll be done in advance. Also, as I mentioned, up here, the little 3 dots up on top, you have options there to save as template. Okay, before I leave the dashboard, I'm moving along very quickly. One regular question we are asked is, what if you need to change the name of the group? Or for example, year 2 moves on to year 3, or Pacific class moves on a year. How do you do it? Well, it's really, really very simple. You don't have to start moving the students around in Komeer. All you have to do is go to the particular group that you want to change. So let's just say Mr. O'Connor here. I can edit that group and change the year. So maybe if that was 2017, I can change it 2018 and just simply click on update at the bottom right hand corner, and that changes the name, and that actually updates all devices. So on the parents' phones where the Komeer app is installed, it updates automatically. So I hope that's helpful. Obviously, if they've gone from 6th class to leaving school, you could make that Nalima or previous students, and again, get their consent, the parents' consent, by sending out a Komeer message for keeping in contact with the parents. So that's a very, very quick whirlwind look at some of the Komeer functionality in the dashboard. I hope it helps. Feel free to drop us a mail or even on the GoToWebinar now. Send a little message through and we'll get you answers, I promise. Moving back to the presentation to finish off with. So I'll just click on percent there so you can see it clearly. Okay, so some tips and tricks to finish off with. The first one is, I suppose I can't answer strong enough, is sign up and use Komeer now. Komeer is quite simply the best communication service available for schools for GDPR compliance, full stop. There's no other product out there that includes the innate data protection, data privacy functionality that Komeer has. A, to help your compliance, and B, to reduce your workload. I suppose we challenge anyone to show us a service that does it better than we do, because we put so much time into it. So I'd strongly encourage you to sign up and use Komeer now to help you with your GDPR responsibilities. Secondly, if you have not done so far, get training and help now. And there are a number of reasons for that. Two that come to mind is, one is you need to do it, because if you have not made changes already, you need to do them now. And the second one, what we're being told clearly is right now there is lots of subsidized and available GDPR training, consultancy, and help available now. However, if you leave that for another 2 or 3 months, it will probably not be available. So I understand a lot of the councils, the local enterprise office, the unions, the school bodies are right now offering GDPR programs and great help, but that will not always be the case. So really now is the time to act. Number 3 is a small one, but it is important. Many schools we are engaging with, the school secretaries and the principals are using free Gmail, Eircom.net, Yahoo or Hotmail email accounts. We suggest you don't. We suggest strongly that you go and convert that to a paid service. So for example, if you're using a free Gmail account for school communications, simply go on to Gmail and opt for a paid account. You can get one for €4 per month, or I think it's about 320 sterling per month. So it's very, very cheap. And the reasons are that with the free accounts, there is a minimal service level agreement. Okay, and that means that there is minimum support, and it also means that your subjects on your emails are scanned and used for marketing and other purposes that Google and Microsoft use it for. So they actually scan the meta tags on your email and your data, the header information, for their own use and for marketing purposes. And obviously and clearly there is direct conflict with data privacy, your commitment and your I suppose your compliance with the protection issues that we've gone through, we touched on the webinar. So it's really best as soon as possible to click on a few buttons and convert your free email accounts to paid Google, Microsoft, Eircom.net, whatever you're using, free email accounts. Change them over to paid services. It doesn't cost much, but it means that you then have a support agreement, what we call an SLA, service level agreement, in place, which gives you a lot more protection, a lot more rights. And by the way, most can also come with other things included, such as Google Docs for storing documents and spreadsheets and stuff like that, and some secure data storage included in that 3 sterling or €4 per month. So again, reiterate, check, are you using free email accounts? If you are, for compliance and security purposes, we strongly recommend you change over to paid accounts as soon as possible. Number 4, use the cloud, not local documents. So for Word documents, for spreadsheets, ideally use Google Docs or Microsoft 365 so you can collaborate with them and not be emailing spreadsheets and documents and lists around the place, which obviously has a risk possibilities that it goes into the wrong hands and creates a data breach. So I'll actually show you a Google Doc in a moment before we finish. But again, we recommend use the cloud. In most cases, it's more secure. Google Docs themselves claims to be safer than Fort Knox. So rather than having a spreadsheet on your local hard disk, secretary's hard disk, and then that's getting emailed around in different versions, and you really don't know where it's going to. Okay, so using the cloud, you can limit who's shared with, what the access is, and it also logs who's made changes to it. Okay, number 5 is you must have in place procedures for breach handling and SARs. SARs are subject access requests. Number 5 really it's beyond the scope of this webinar, and time is running out just to give a full explanation of that. If you don't know what those things are already, you need to find out fast and you need to be prepared for them. In relation specifically to the SARs, subject access requests, you need to be absolutely clear. It's not a case of if this will happen, it is a case of when it will happen, because some parent will sooner rather than later want to know what data you're holding on them and give a right to it. So you must be prepared for that. Number 6, and I'll actually show you this as an example, is have a central location for all your GDPR documents, including data audit. I'll give you a little example of that in a minute before we close. So I'll actually show you that now. What I mean by that is preferably going back to the cloud and not local documents. What we suggest you do is ideally use one Google document. There's a little example here that's not populated. And this is a Google spreadsheet. I'm using Google Docs here. And I've set up this document so that I have my data audit, my subject access requests, my data retention policy, my staff training, my policy updates, all in one place in one document. So I know that's where I have everything to do with GDPR, all in one place. I can share that out, maybe to perhaps to with the principal, the secretary, or whoever is involved, but I can limit and control who is shared with. And it does keep a record on, it keeps a revision history up here somewhere, version history of what changes have been made. So it's both secure, and it means we have everything together, and you can access that wherever you have access to your Gmail account. It's not stored on your local hard disk in the secretary's office. So that's what I mean by control document. I hope that's useful to you. Please explore that if this is new to you. Okay, moving back and to finish off. Lastly, I have prepared some web links and information for you. Now, we will email this presentation to you after this webinar as well, so you'll have all these links for your use. And I suppose we've gone through a lot of different websites in our research, both for schools and for the development of Komeer. I suppose whittled it down to these 7, which I think will be of help to you. So I'll just quickly go through them. The first one is dataprotection.ie. It is a solid website. It's by the Irish Data Protection Commissioner's Office. So a lot of good information. They have a microsite called GDPR and You, which if you have not seen already, I really suggest you take a look at. It explains in plain English your responsibility as a school or as an organization, and it also gives the individual rights, which I've gone through what the rights are. Okay, so it's really very good and very clear. Also, the UK's website, which is UK Information Commissioner's Office, is excellent as well. A lot of good information. And likewise, they have set up a micro website, and just very good FAQ, frequently asked questions section on it. Really is very clear. There are some template downloads. I've also included number 5, which is the French GDPR website. And the reason why I've done that is it has more templates than all of the other sites put together. So there's a particular angle for maybe a data inventory or data audit you're looking for in the school. You will find good templates there on the French website. There is an English option, as you can see, so don't worry, get back, it's French. This is the French website here. I have to say, I think it's probably the best, so well worth a look at. Lastly, the school's data protection website itself, the Irish website is there as well, specifically for schools. A lot of good information, and again, they have kindly created a sub microsite called GDPR for schools.ie, and that includes a sorry, actually that one does not include, let's go back there, the data. Okay, so the GDPR for schools is really good, gives some nice videos, answers a lot of questions. Use it for your staff training. It really answers most questions for schools. But also, sorry, just back to number 6, the schools data protection in schools also includes a section on GDPR, and I would highly recommend you have a look at these 2 documents here, Preparing for GDPR and GDPR Action Plan, and they give you a checklist and action list of what to do from start to finish. Whoever did that, you did a great job. It really goes into a lot more detail than I can go in today. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope GDPR is a hard subject to listen to. I hope you didn't find it too boring. And we went along a very fast pace. We will, in the Komeer team, will forward you on a copy of this presentation, so you'll have all those links. Again, feel free to drop us an email to help@komeer.com with any questions or queries. If you have not done already, sign up today on komeer.com for your free account, and we'll help you after that. These are our support numbers for schools, so feel free to give us a call. Our team, you'll see on the Komeer website, and you can contact the Komeer team. Show you who we are. Yep, here we are here. So you can contact any of our team if you need help. We're here in North Dublin, and we'll be delighted to take your call and go through any queries. We're here to help. So that is it for today. Thank you very much for attending, and look forward to talking to you soon. That's me, Pat Walsh, over and out. Thank you. Bye-bye.